Hello, everybody out there in Telarus land. This is Dominic. You know who I am. I'm all about people, processes, and technology. And what we're going to talk about today is how Thrive brings expertise in that space. You're going to learn about what they bring. You're going to learn about how to sell their services. You're going to learn about a case study. So with that, I'm going to introduce Michael, CTO. Michael, talk to us about Thrive. What do you guys bring to the table?
Hey, Dominic, thanks for joining us today. I really want to drive home the point with folks that, Thrive does a lot. I know a lot of people have heard about us. We've been working with Telarus for some time now. I'd actually, I put a couple slides together for this chat that more just to keep our conversation flowing, if you don't mind. So let me just fire those up real quick.
Sounds good. Let's roll through it.
And, really the case study here towards the end is something I think is going to resonate with a lot of Telarus partners. So I'm pretty excited about that, especially when I was putting it together. So, we use this slide a lot. Thrive does a lot of different things, whether it's cybersecurity or, traditional infrastructure services, whatever it might be. And you can see here that if you look at some of the brands that we use and the areas that we're a part of, sometimes people maybe start to wonder, where do we engage first? And that's kind of the thing I'd like to focus on today.
Cool.
So let me just tell you a little bit. I made this slide a number of years ago. So I've been here a long time, and Thrive's been in business about 20 years, which, this day and age, you hear companies say things like that. To me, your history is somewhat irrelevant. It may tell how you got here today, but really is what's going on in the world today and how can you help partners and downstream customers. So, sort of below the line in the iceberg here, Thrive has a wealth of what I would call traditional IT knowledge. We did a sort of a fun exercise a couple of months ago and calculated that we have about 1,500 years of IT experience if you take all the engineers and their career and add them all up. And that could be in any area of IT, whether it's cybersecurity or, like I said, traditional managed services. But over the past couple of years, our security practice has really grown by leaps and bounds. We made a couple bets 4 or 5 years ago, and we were responding to our customers. And there are actually a lot of folks that see us as only a managed services security provider, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of curious, Dominic, what do you see as far as the suppliers that you work with, as far as people that are focused on just security or other things or both?
Oh, we have a few other suppliers that do a lot of things around IT services as well as security services. And I think probably to flip it, the biggest challenges for our partners really to understand, look, we've got all these suppliers, they say they do all these things. What are they really good at? So that's what I like to talk about with Thrive. And just to get into it for a quick second more, I always talk about people, process, and technology. What does that mean? Just like Michael talked about, right? Your customers don't have the scale and the breadth to be able to have the seasoned, certified security pros on staff, the folks that understand IT systems and really know how to leverage the capabilities of those platforms. And so, Michael, I think that's what you guys bring to the table. And I know you've got this really big portfolio, a lot more you want to talk about here, but I think that's the biggest challenge for our partners is trying to figure out, forget about the security story, right? How do they position you as the right supplier for their customer?
Yeah, and I'm glad you put it that way, and sort of sparked a couple of thoughts here. You and I, we talk about patch management being sort of the belts and suspenders, right? It might not be the most interesting and high profile of security services, but it really forms the baseline of a lot of security practices. And you can't do vulnerability management without the patching, right? So, and we've been doing patching for a long time now. It is believe it or not, one of our biggest strengths. And this is more, we go well beyond a set it and forget it, but our advanced solutions like vulnerability management and security operations management, those things build on that experience, right? So, if somebody comes to us for just patching, there's a lot more that we do than just that, although we do that extremely well. And we have some highly compliant organizations where we're a critical part of their vulnerability management practice because of it.
Let's actually dig in that a little bit more. I know there's a lot more we're going to talk about here. We're going to keep it nice and short for our partners. The main idea here is to get you understanding what Thrive brings to the table, and even more than that, reaching out to them and having them help you understand your account base. going back to patch management, right? This idea, all that it really is for our partners is just keeping systems current and
Yep.
understanding that they may have certain vulnerabilities and having a program around looking at the vulnerabilities, looking at which patches need to be applied. So a lot of organizations have built their security program around this, and they think that is the be all and end all the security program. It is the foundation. And in my view, and definitely in Michael's view and his experience, and we can talk more about that maybe through some use cases, but patch management, vulnerability management, that should be a completely outsourced operation for your customers. Yeah, they may feel like, hey, you're trying to take my job away, but I'll tell you what, they are not doing it as effectively as Thrive can. They are not doing it as efficiently as Thrive can. Thrive can bring in very customized options around this idea of patch management. And really, again, all it means is forget about the language and what it is. Just know that it's a way to help organizations stay current and to build a right protective posture against new and emerging threats. So with that, Michael, I'd love to just have you embellish on that and maybe jump to
Yeah,
the next topic.
sure. So, what we try to talk about, and I'll dive into it here in momentarily, is what is your security program, right? What are all the pieces that go together that build your security program? Not just what kind of antivirus are you using, or did you install a firewall with next gen security services on it? What's the whole practice? So, we'll take a vulnerability management and a patching and put it together with security operations management. And the goal here is to bring these disparate pieces together so you have a solid security practice that's far reaching across your entire IT infrastructure, not just one piece. A lot of times we'll get into an environment and start helping with one specific pain point. As you said, Dominic, patching, right? We patch 25,000 plus machines a month. Just that population allows us to have intelligence that we could never really have if maybe we were doing a couple hundred. So, just gathering some of that expertise and then being able to use it in other parts of security is extremely valuable for us and for our customers. If you think about it, our customers get that as a value add, right? Our knowledge and our intelligence around doing this kind of thing, it's part of our bread and butter.
That's awesome. I mean, I know we could spend a lot of time talking about that, but do you think that's the best entry point for our partners if they're talking to their customers in this day and age? The patch management piece?
So there's a couple different entry points, and I think that the one that I always drive home with partners is, and this is large or small, just to switch gears a little bit, is security awareness training, anti-phishing exercises. It's a lightweight tool to implement, just like patching. Every organization needs it. It has meaningful value. You can show the result. It's not going to wipe out users clicking on the wrong link. It is going to improve the posture significantly. Dominic, I'm sure with your security background, a lot of us are preaching this. It's really become just as important as a simple antivirus security awareness training. I'm sure you've interacted in a lot of different webinars and panels around how valuable security awareness training is.
It's fundamental. Just another one of those fundamental cornerstones, pillars, if you will. Look, for all of our partners out there, right, when you're thinking about talking to your customers, we want you to be bold. We want you to challenge your customers. Obviously, be respectful about it, right? But at the end of the day, this whole idea of patch management, vulnerability management, again, it's an easy entry point. It is a wedge. You ask your customers how effective they think that they are. Should their people be spending their time doing this, or should they be instead leveraging the mature people, processes, and technology of a service provider that can deliver it in a customized manner? And as you all know me, right, we have a full supplier portfolio, but I narrow the list down for you of those that we should bring to market, the ones you can stand behind. And Thrive is absolutely one of those. And we're going to change gears here, but to wrap this up, you start with something like patch management. Let's say it's 5, 8, or 10 grand, and that customer has a stellar experience because of their integration with IT services and all the other things that they bring to the table. That account grows to 40, 50 grand MRC because of that customer experience. That's why we're talking with Thrive today. That's why you should be selling Thrive. So, Michael, what else do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, fantastic way to put it, and I really want to sort of drive this home a little bit more too. So, we showed this slide to a lot of people that are new to having conversations conversations with their customers, as you said, to be bold. So, what we look at is security is front of mind for 99.99% of IT directors or CFO. They're thinking about it a lot, but they don't really know where to go. What we try and get to is having people understand where they are in the stack, so to speak. There's some very basic things that we've been harping on, patching, antivirus down here at the bottom. You need to do those things, absolutely. But over time, you want to mature these programs, and what we would say is move up the stack. Sometimes people jump ahead and they forget about the basics, or they want to say, well, I'm going to get an advanced endpoint solution and forget about the rest. And that's really a mistake. You're actually going to end up probably wasting a lot of time investment and financial investment because you bought a very expensive solution, yet there are other parts of the security infrastructure that aren't really taken care of. And what we try and do is when we get involved in a situation, as you said, we're not trying to boil the ocean on day one. We're not trying to come in and say, we've locked everything down, you're all set. That actually is a very naive approach to security. So, first, where are your weaknesses? Where are you struggling on some of the basics? And let's build you up over time. Now, it's not to say we're not going to engage in a conversation about web app firewall. We're going to make sure we ask all the questions along the way, not just the ones that get brought up by our prospect or our customer.
Oh, that's awesome. And look, everybody out there, you will always hear me be a broken record. Today, you've maybe heard me in the past. Going forward, you'll hear me talk about it again. People, processes, and technology. I'm going to repeat it over and over again, and this is what you should be talking to your customers about. So what Michael just brought up, you can buy best-in-breed technologies. If you don't have the right people that know how to administer that technology, you're not going to get the right outcomes from that capability. And more importantly, if you don't have the right processes to govern the way that you administer that technology, you're going to fail in delivering a good security program to your organization. So again, that's what you can buy as a service from a managed service provider like Thrive, who is very mature in what they bring to the table. And most importantly, you saw the first slide, all the different skills that they bring to the table in terms of technology. That's something a customer doesn't even have to think about. Right? Thrive has experts that are certified in multiple different disciplines. Every one of these security capabilities has a lot of nuances to learn and know about. And frankly, again, to be bold, to talking to your customers, the limited security people they have on staff should not be spending their time managing and tweaking security infrastructure. I would be that strong in talking to your customers because they should instead be spending their time focused and aligned with the business, working on key big time objectives like moving to the cloud, data protection, data privacy, identity and access management. Those are very tough problems to solve for. That's where security people should be spending their time. A company's more effective use of resources is buying what you see here listed as a service from an organization like Thrive. So with that, Michael, what else would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, just on that note real quick too, I've run into so many situations where perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent on a security monitoring tool that no one's logging into. It is spewing alerts. And, it's just the shining example of a failed IT investment. So, and as you said, be bold, challenge your customers professionally, of course, but nobody is perfect when it comes to security. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, hey, I was on a webinar and I learned a little bit about security awareness training or advanced endpoint. What are you guys doing? And I actually think some of those open-ended questions really resonate with people because, again, everybody needs help in this area.
Yeah, I mean, I can bring one home real quickly. I know, Michael, you got some other things you want to cover, but threat management is a great example. And in fact, let's talk about compliance for a quick moment. I was just talking to an organization that does, provide services to the DoD yesterday. And, they have a compliance checklist, and the leader of the organization was open enough to tell us, look, we checked the box for incident response, but we've never tested our capabilities and our procedures, and I'm concerned that we're not even good at doing it because we've never done it before. But yet we're compliant because we checked the box. My whole
Yeah.
point is, you can chase all those different compliance activities or buying a point security solution and think you've got good security and you don't. And to what Michael just said, right? Security is always about improving, but you got to have a program in place. And
Yep.
Michael and his team, they can come in and do health assessments to understand where you are today, where you should go tomorrow, or they can come in with very point solutions like patch management, like vulnerability management, take that off those customers' hands and do it better than they're doing it today.
All right. That was a fantastic segue. I appreciate that. Um, one second here. So again, just talking a little bit more about us on our team. So again, we do a lot of things, and you can see here that the same sort of levels that we just talked about. Again, these are examples of some of the technologies that we support and build out for people. So, again, it's a little bit of might feel a little bit of a busy slide here, but what you can see is what we're trying to do is bring all these pieces together. We're not just, trying to put one single service in or one single tool in and walk away. And because of our knowledge around networking and cloud, we can bring in these other environments, right? A customer doesn't have to say, well, we tried to do this particular project, but it didn't work with Azure, it didn't work with AWS. So because we have this breadth of services, very rarely, or if ever, do we leave our customers in a lurch and say, oh, sorry, we didn't think of that. You're going to have to figure something else out. We can usually meet you where you are, which, is obviously an old telco term to some degree, but when it comes to security, that's really how we look at it. And, one of the things that I like to think about as our company evolves here is one of the biggest values we have is where our services intersect. So if you're maybe buying private cloud from us and you want it secured with security monitoring, when you buy those two pieces of technology from us, those two services, putting those together is not something you're going to see on a line item on any of our contracts, right? We understand, oh, you're buying private cloud from us and you'd like to add security monitoring. No problem. And, that's one of the things I love about the company that we built because, people want this stuff integrated. It's hard to do. It takes time. But because we offer these services and they're very mature, it's actually pretty easy for us.
That's awesome. Michael, I want to actually talk about ideal customers. I know we're going to get into a case study and
Yep.
opportunities, but as you know, I always get to be a little long-winded here. And look, for our partners out there, what matters to you guys is speed, right? We understand that. And what also matters to you, what we want to help you understand, especially in security, is that we want to do a value sale. Right. And that's what's awesome about Thrive is that they will very quickly help you understand. In fact, they'll even do account planning with you if you want to sit down with their teams and understand where do they fit, where don't they fit. But what's awesome about Thrive is their responsiveness and their transparency. If there's an opportunity you bring to the plate that they can figure out how to do more smartly with their customer, they'll have that conversation with your customer. If there's an opportunity you bring to their plate that doesn't fit in their wheelhouse, they'll tell you that right off the bat. My point is, they will make the best use of your time, and you absolutely should be leveraging them to talk about how to approach your customers and let them do the heavy lifting on the security conversation. So with that, Michael, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, so I'm going to dive into the case study here and just walk you through a little bit of a timeline, sort of what we've been talking about a little bit about how, we sort of start engaging alongside a partner and then build a valuable and frankly profitable service for our partners, but also it results in happy customers, and that always makes a big difference for me, obviously. So we engaged last year with a large charitable foundation, and it's a name you've heard, right? When I first saw this name, I actually got pretty excited about it. There are about 500 employees nationwide. The partner, it's very interesting, was very thoughtful in how he engaged with this prospect. He knew that there was opportunity here. He didn't try and jump in and grab everything all at once. So, it's really a cool story internally here at Thrive. So let me just walk you through real quick. February 2019, the partner just gets in touch with us and said they'd like a SIM demo. Security information event management. It's security monitoring tools for those that are not aware. It's really the basis of security monitoring. A couple months later, we get a contract for this customer, $3,200 a month. Nice little deal. Right? Good to get started. The partner, of course, made some money on that. That's great. We love to see that all day long. As we went to implement, there was a realization that there were more devices that could be added. And because this partner was already engaged on how to sell our services and how things were packaged, this was very easy. Add another $1,200 a month. A month later, customer raised their hand and said, I think it's time to replace our firewalls. As it turns out, we obviously, when we supply our own firewalls, we can integrate that into our security monitoring. Now, if the customer had said, I've made an acquisition, I have some firewalls I already own that I want to integrate, that's no problem. We can still work with that. We don't try and force any of our own services on people. Obviously, there's a benefit. So I want to pause here in October 2019, because this is where things get sort of interesting. We've had a very successful couple of months at this point with the customer. Where our team is enjoying supporting them, which is an interesting footnote. We enjoy it for everybody, but they really like this engagement. And the partner realized that the organization he was helping had Office 365, and he needed to add Office 365 backup. Now, this is a little bit outside of security. Obviously, if you get ransomware or something like that, you would want to have your OneDrive backed up, things like this. But this is interesting to me because he did actually start to branch out a little bit on his own. But I think he understood how we engaged, and believe he asked. He came to us first, even though he'd only worked with us on the security side. So as you were saying earlier, Dominic, you can go beyond this stuff pretty quickly. They got used to the engagement.
That's awesome. I know we're getting a little tight on time here just to keep our partners all attentive, but you know what? This illustrates exactly what Thrive brings to the table, and that's a solid customer experience. And when the customer realizes that, I love this supplier and I love the experience I'm having, and more importantly, I'm getting true risk reduction and good security understanding from my provider. I'm able to talk to them about different problems I have. And for you as a partner, I did the numbers up real quickly here. That turned into a little over $21,000. In fact, I missed that last $2,100. So we're right about, start at $3,000 and now turn into $22,000 a month MRC, right? That's a sweet deal.
And I got something fun here to show you at the end to that point. This is the actual email that the partner sent. Now, granted, I've changed the names here. He emailed Eric Young, who runs our channel team here, and with a very simple question. They had spoken a week before. He just wanted to see a SIM demo. This here is what turned into roughly a year later, $21,000 a month of a very good customer for Thrive. A positive experience for the customer, and obviously the partner involved is very pleased about how this whole thing worked out. We went in together, we understood how each other worked, and understood what the customer was looking for. So, just a shining example of the ways that we can work together.
Very cool. Michael, how about wrapping it up here? What thoughts do you have just in telling our partners, who may feel intimidated about the security conversation, how do they find opportunities, right? And then how do they properly position you in their accounts?
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, no one assumes that everybody knows everything about security. And one of the things that starts is just by asking some questions. If you say to someone, do you do security awareness training? And you understand just at a very high level what security awareness training is. I said, oh, well, we have a provider, but it's not really working out for us. Or, oh yeah, we have to switch over because it doesn't meet our compliance regulations. The main thing I have to say is it's okay to ask questions because they understand that everyone is struggling with this. And when it comes back to Thrive, as this example has, shoot us a quick note. We don't have to hit a home run out of the gate. These things do take time. Building relationships, they take time. So, don't hesitate from asking the question and getting us involved. If it's not the right fit, that's no problem. That happens all the time. But if it is, you never know. You start pulling a thread and something interesting could happen.
That's awesome. Again, for the partners out there, I've said this before, I'll say it over and over again. It's about the customer experience. It's about your experience with us, your experience with the suppliers, and ultimately your customer's experience with the suppliers. That's why you should be reaching out to Thrive. You're going to get a solid sales experience from their responsiveness and their engagement and their transparency, and you're going to get a solid customer experience. And most importantly, you're going to get an account that's going to continue to grow, and you're going to see, I should replicate this across my customer base. So, final thoughts. No question about it, your customers are buying security in some way, shape, and form, even in the
Absolutely.
downturn of this market. And you should not be intimidated in having the conversation. It is a business conversation. How are they achieving their security objectives today? How are they defining them? What's their plan going forward? You can assume they don't have the right number of folks on staff and that they are struggling. And this is why you bring Thrive to the table. So, with that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for all your time today. I strongly encourage everyone out there, reach out to Thrive and talk to them about your accounts. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much, Dominic.